Hello and welcome to Kabbalistic Astrology, the world's weekly forecast. This is Matt Taylor. My name is Nicola Ercolani. We speak about the weekly world's astrology forecast, including energetics and spiritual tools. Get yourself up to date in order to serve the conscious amongst the world's changing tides. Hi, Matt. How are you this week?
Hi, everybody. I'm well. Thank you, Nicole. How are you?
I am very well. I'm back in Switzerland, as you can see. Back in my four
Yes, you
walls.
are. After 10 days, was it? 10 days in
Yes,
London?
it was.
Hmm. Very good. No,
Yeah.
something different.
What's going on this
Oh,
week? Tell us.
right. Yes, I will. We are in the lunar cycle of Scorpio. Scorpio is a month ruled by Mars and Pluto. Pluto is the planet of something much deeper, going into something under. It's the lord of the underground. So Pluto gives us the opportunity to go deeper under the superficial, yeah, go into something in a profound way. And Mars is the lord of battles, we say in Kabbalistic astrology or transcendental astrology, but it means the battles is to break through. No, so often we are in a limited behavior or a reactive system or very robotic, and we wonder why we can't achieve many things. It's because we're just, doing the same thing the same way and feeling like it's normal, right? The whole idea, of course, is to break out of that, and that is the battle: is to battle against our ego or our limitations, robotic behavior. So here it's a month of being able to manifest, because we're able to see ourselves in a deeper way and be able to see where we need to break our limited behavior in order to manifest the things that we truly want. So if we know a Scorpio, they are very 100% in total commitment. Is a Scorpio. If they decide to do something, they're going to go for it, because they have these two planets ruling them. It's very unusual. It's very unusual to have two planets ruling a sign. There's only 3 signs that have it. Scorpio is one of them. So it really means that we have the energy of 2 planets. It gives us a boost in this month of a whole other planet, right? So Pluto and Mars. Now, also transcendentally or Kabbalistically, these 2 signs together are very sexual. Mars rules the blood, and Pluto is ruling the underground, or the deeper aspect of us. So they're very sexual, or very psychological, or very in the deeper recesses of human behaviors, the taboos, things that we put in metaphysics, mystical, all of those sort of more interesting things or beyond logic things of human behavior. So this is a month where we really go into the darkness of ourselves. And the Kabbalists explain here that, what we're doing is always, if we can go into the darkness, we can reveal a lot of light. So often we're, told in Kabbalah anyway, what makes a person spiritual, and, we can always say it's something like being kind or being compassionate or sharing or thinking of others, which is all very good. But really, a person who is spiritual is someone who's looking deeper inside, and finding out what's blocking me, what's stopping me, why am I not achieving what I want to achieve, and looking at the chaos and the negativity inside in order to transform. And this is the month where we can really see a lot of our things that we are not really have been hindering us or blocking us, so that we can go for what we really want.
I feel like when I feel into the energies of this month, so far at least, and what I can see also with my clients, and within myself also to a certain extent, is this month, what it revealed so far since the new moon, is where do I hold the shame around sexuality, sexual behavior, but also the shame around relationships, how to get into relationships, how to not the tie with someone new. So for people that are in dating, like how to show that you're interested without being ashamed that you show that you're interested, like all of the shame around that. And that seems to be very Pluto. Like it seems to go very like into this Scorpio Pluto energy. And since Pluto is it still retrograde? Do we know? We don't. I
Oh,
don't.
we're going to speak on that. Let's talk about it now. It actually goes forward this week.
Oh my God, really? Yes. I can totally see that it's like in the end, like, oh, very interesting.
Yes.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Pluto, which it's interesting because Pluto that rules Scorpio is going direct. In other words, it finishes being retrograde after 5 or 6 months. And Gemini, Mars, which is its other planet, starts going retrograde in Gemini this week. So it's two planets swap around. Yes.
Yes. Interesting.
Mm. So, it's good what you say about shame, because obviously Pluto can take us in there, but Mars, we know what color the planet is. It's red. And that is very interesting in many aspects, but one particular aspect, it always represents things where our blood or our face goes red, such as embarrassment, shame, right?
Oh, wow.
Or
Okay.
anger, or
Yes.
frustration, or impatience. And so that's the planet that holds all of the negativity, positive things as well, as we know. But the negativity of Mars is where our face turns red, or where we make other people's face turn red, because that's a huge short circuit. That's a huge negativity in the world. Like if we embarrass someone or shame someone or abuse someone or angry at someone, and they turn this color, that is us as well. So this red energy is takes us into all of the things, like you say, that are associated with red.
Mm-hmm.
And Scorpio rules the blood as well.
Very interesting.
So there's blood rushes. No, we even say it in English. Do you say anything in German, Swiss German, that it's like associates itself with turning my face is turned red or anything like that? Do you have that in your linguistics, where you just were so angry or so embarrassed and
I
I saw red? We also say in English.
Yes, that's like seeing red is for sure one that we use. And then there is the blushing part is also there's, but it's not a saying, it's more like an and then she turned red,
That's
like
sexual as well, right? Blushing.
no, no, it's not the sexual blushing, it's the embarrassment blushing.
Oh, embarrassment blushing as well.
Turning red would more be like being super embarrassed and ashamed.
Yes, right. So we have it in many different languages about this red color, So that is the very Scorpio. So what do we do with it? As you said before, it's about seeing it. It's about being able to bring it out and really allow it to come out if it comes up, in order to transform. The thing with the Scorpio is they're very extreme in this way. They either get stuck in this revenge or anger or frustration or jealousy as well. They get stuck in it, or they're very much like moving forward and manifesting and transforming and changing. And so they've got this kind of two sides, as every sign does, but these are their two sides. Deep in the emotion of revenge and bitterness, or moving forward and just getting on with it. So we don't want to get stuck in it. The idea is to see it, but not get stuck in it, not holding on, right? Just letting it transform, letting it heal. And that's also in this month, because it's very metaphysical. It's got a lot of metaphysical energy. Every day is intense. It's like a new moon every day, or a full moon every day in Scorpio. It's the only sign that has the intensity like this. And they're intense people. They're not wallflowers. they're when they're very intense, charismatic, people. They're very strong people. So this is also held within inside them all of this kind of intensity of energy. And that's what gives them their power. And the moon starts this week in the sign of in the sign of Cancer, which is about quarter moon in the lunar cycle of Scorpio. So it starts in Capricorn, which is very different to Scorpio. It's a very solid, grounded, structured, one foot in front of the other, yet not much emotion going on. But the thing with the Capricorn is it's an earth energy, but the internal element of Capricorn is water. So Capricorns tend to hold their emotions inside. Yeah, so they tend to bury their emotions. People with a Capricorn moon, they put all their feelings like in a compost. Those compost bins, and you put all your stuff in there. That's what they put. They put the lid down and just hold it in there, right? And they become very cold people. Like Capricorns are not with the emotion, they're with the counting. Yeah, they're calculating things out. 4 people are coming to dinner, I put 4 potatoes on. It takes this many steps to get to work. I work this many hours and I, earn this much money. They're always with like this, and this is a sign that is much more like calculating, but not in a negative way, but adding things up. They're accountable people. They're responsible people. They're transparent people. The accountant of the sign, right? We're adding things up. So if we put these two energies together, we're really in a big like accountability or responsibility to the things that we've buried inside, to the things that we haven't looked at yet. We're going to be popping up this week. Also, in the bigger picture, Capricorn is about borders, structures, where I put a line around things, where I put a barrier. Yes. So we can also look at like moon being there. The moon is the nation or the home. So you will see in the news this week a lot of things about borders, structures, processes, transparency, accountability. Are we adding it up? So this will manifest in many different ways in the bigger world, but in our world, it's like, where are we holding on and put things down into a closet and just shut it and not dealt with it?
Interesting.
Also here, Venus is in Scorpio. People who have Venus in Scorpio were usually people selling their bodies in a past life. Venus is the physical world, and Scorpio is the sexual aspect or the psychological aspect. So, if you have Venus in Scorpio, past, some part of your past life was selling your body for whatever reasons. So this is, again, even if we don't have Venus in Scorpio in our chart, Venus in Scorpio is in the chart. So it brings up all of the places that we sold ourselves, all the places that we, gave something away because it was all we had, or we had to get by. Usually it's our body, right? And as good as we may be in this life, we don't know what we're doing so much in the past life. So there can be a lot of like sexual repression, sexual energy that we're holding down, that we're embarrassed by, as you said before, that we're shamed by. And all of these planets are really bringing out a lot of sexual energy, the things that have been unresolved, the things that we need to take responsibility for and heal.
Yeah, I have what I heard in Kundalini Yoga was, and I found that really interesting, that Venus and the Sun, because the Sun is in Scorpio, right, are conjuncting. Is that the word? They're together,
yes.
very close together.
Yes.
For another 4 weeks, and no, for 40 days, more or less 40 days, and
Venus is in Scorpio usually Venus is in Scorpio for about 6 weeks, so it's about 40 days.
Interesting. Yes. It's so good. And I started to do a deep dive with a meditation to heal all karmic strands to past relationships, but not only from this lifetime, but also to some scars, the old stuff. So you do a meditation for that. And I started this meditation last week when Venus and entered Scorpio, like coming close to Scorpio. And I find it super interesting what's coming up. Like old, like people start to text me again that I've never heard of, like for years, and like old memories come up all of a sudden. I'm like, why do I think of that? And then the person starts to come in. It's like so fascinating how if you have like these windows opening, and I think for me the Venus and Scorpio being so close together, the Sun and Venus so close together, what feels to me is like I can heal like this deep dive, very very old, very like very deep dive into sexuality, relationships, but in depth. Yeah, that's what I do.
Also how we use sexuality. I mean, it's not even just the act of sex, no, how we manipulate, how we sell ourselves, how we, use our sexuality with agenda. There's a lot of levels that we use it in order to try and get through something. It may not actually be as heavy as prostitution, but there are elements of how we sell using our body or flirting or whatever.
And I mean,
to sell something or to get something.
What's also really interesting is since that time, since I started doing that now, I've seen some very interesting YouTube videos by accident on, for example, on the female cervix, and that the cervix is the direct connection to the female heart. And so that when a woman sleeps, that's a yogic teaching, when a woman sleeps with a man and the penetration is really deep and like loving and good, then no matter how the guy is, the woman is starting to open the heart because of the physical aspects of him touching the cervix. And that's why there is sound. And that's like, there are many things like that come now to me when all around this topic of sexuality. Also, like the Hestia teachings in the Greece Hestia temple, which is the goddess of fire, which is known to be a nunnery of women that used to teach sacred sexuality to men in the Greek mythology. So there's so much, like on many different levels, there's now the knowledge coming in about that. And I find that's extremely interesting and also very, very matching to these times with the planets.
Yes, it's going to add a lot of potency to what's happening in the Middle East with the women taking off their you call them
Shaylas.
Yeah, exactly. So and talking about like this kind of feminine energy and sexual energy and an expression of that. It's not just the sex, as I say, it can be manifest in many different ways. So not only does Pluto go direct this week, or has gone direct by now, but Saturn has also gone direct by now. These two are together. When they act and do anything together, they're called the death planets. Isn't that exciting?
Lovely.
Fantastic. So I think these sudden things of death happen when Pluto and Saturn get together. So they're not actually doing anything together, but they did turn direct together, which I think is a little bit interesting considering what happened in Korea this week with this sort of a sudden, all these people died, completely unexpectedly. When Pluto and Saturn were conjunct, it was when the virus started. So when they were absolutely together. So here I always see something when, even if they're not directly linked in the chart, if they do something that's a little bit reflective of each other, we always see something. So I think this is like a moment of death. Now, death is always good. It's actually part of Scorpio. It's life and death is Scorpio, right? say we're all in this bit with the Scorpio now. It's so twisted. I love it. So there's such a twisted like energy, right? So it can be the death of something. It could be the death of your sexuality and the rebirth of it, right? This is what we want to do. So if you're not feeling particularly sexual, or if you have a sexual issue, or even if you're feeling too sexual, right, whatever, and you're out of control with this energy seems to me to bring a certain transformation of sexual energy, I think, like the rebirthing of your sexual energy and how you want to take it forward and how you want to bring yourself out into the world. If it tap the sexual energy that Kabbalists explain taps back to the Big Bang. That's how powerful it is. Like it's the same energy as the Big Bang. Like those two things. Like, so it's a huge, it's our most potent energy. It's a huge energy. So we can't like shy away from it. It's a creative force. So how are we using this energy as a creative force to break through into new, higher, elevated realms is where we want to move towards with all of this power that we have inside of us. How do we use it? Yeah, so it's a regenerative, generative force that's very potent at the moment for many reasons, so that we will see. And with Mars going retrograde this week, it makes us review all of those potent, forceful energies. I think we will see something with, Russia and Ukraine, because it's such a potent, like forceful, imposing energy that we see here. That something in the next couple of weeks with Mars retrograding, I think, will shift. Yeah. So where we see dominance or force or abuses, this also taps into Pluto, it taps into Mars, it taps into Scorpio as well. Yeah, potent energy when we come in here.
Yeah, and I think there's always two ways to utilize these potent windows of energies. Like there's, as usual, since we're on a dual planet, there is the possibility to be like, oh my God, Mercury, or in this time Mars is retrograding, and ooh. Or you use this time like for yourself, and you can use meditations with that. You can use any type of like exercises, like the Kabbalists have things you can do for these times, but also Kundalini yoga. I mean, we have many different things we can do, especially like today is October 31st. It's the Halloween night, and it's like with the night where all the ghosts are here, and you can deal with ghosts if you want to. I wouldn't fuck with them, but you can if you want to. But then tomorrow is All Saints Day, and like even though there is Mars going into retrograde this week as well, what you also have is this super high energies. And that's when I saw when I follow certain kind of people on Instagram to see what they're, especially intuitive, so I really like that. And I saw, for example, for October, everybody was like, oh my God, October will be so bad. And oh my God, the energies are so intense, yada, yada, yada. And yeah, October might have been intense, and I'm sure many people have experienced it very intense. But for me, like when you utilize these energies, these intense energies, what you can do is you can make major decisions. You can make quantum leaps. You can like really change shit in your life and start a new trajectory where you want to go and where you want to head towards to. And that's also that's like the flip side of the heavy energies, right? You just need to utilize the things available. And so a very interesting astrologer, his name is Matt Taylor, I don't know if you heard of him, said to me once, Mars is also the definition of I, of ego. And in Kundalini Yoga, Mars is the thumb, it's the I, the ego finger. So when I goes into retrograde, is also who am I? What is the values that I have, that I define myself over? How do I want to shine? Who I want to be? Like all these I questions. And it's so interesting that we have now the time to say, okay, where am I in my power, or where am I not showing my power? Like, do I really show the ego? Do I show myself, or do I just show fragments of myself because I'm too ashamed of the true me, the true shining, the true radiance of the I that there is there also, right? So all these retrogrades and all these problems that appear in a chart are a huge opportunity for us to really go in and get out the deeper, more subtle blocks that we still hold in our vibrational truth, right? And like, what is more beautiful? Who are the people that we like admire? It's always the people that are really themselves, that don't apologize for being themselves, that don't apologize for their flaws when they're really the ones that hold themselves high, and that are like, yeah, this is me, this is who I am. For example, I love things. I use a lot of money to buy things and to work with things, with for example, crystals. I just bought this one in Glastonbury. Again, I bought crystals, even though I might want to move houses. But who cares? Like, owning who you are, I think, is the big thing, that where people after that come and they're like, oh my God, it's so good to see what you do. It's like so interesting because it gives me the almost the okay to be more myself. And that's Mars. And Mars going into retrograde means this is the window for you to like really change again, in coming closer to bring your infinite self, your infinite power into the physical, the finite body, and then spread out more of who you are.
Right. Love it.
It would be amazing, no?
That's all I have. I think that's a lot. No, I think that's a lot. I loved what you said. I loved what you said there. A lot about these energies. I love it. It's a great questions to be thinking about.
Yeah. And so, yeah, this is at least what I
awesome. Yes, no,
work on that.
I love that.
All right, guys, thank you so much for listening this week. I hope the quality was not too bad. We will see in the aftermath of the video. Sometimes we had internet problems today, I think, but I hope you're still listening. If you do, thank you very much for your patience and time, and we'll be back next week, and we wish you a wonderful day. Bye.
All the best. Bye, everybody.